Okay, we just got our new queen from Bee-Weaver Apiaries. So hopefully you can see her here. She and the 4 or 5 attendant bees are all fine, and we spread a little bit of honey and some moisture a couple of times on the screen so they have a little bit of moisture and nourishment. But we're getting ready to introduce her into this hive, which we took the queen out 2 days ago. So this hive has been queenless now for the past about 50 hours. So we're gonna go through the steps in requeening this hive. Okay, so first thing we're gonna do is these queen cages come with a cork in either end. The end that is on the end of the cage without the candy, which is here, you don't want to remove this one. You want to leave it in place. But this has a candy plug in here, so we're going to go ahead and remove the cork out of this end, which we've done. And you should be able to see the candy inside the cage. And it's fairly soft. We just kind of started a little hole here. But the bees will, mostly the bees from the hive here, they'll come in and chew this through. Take them 3 or 4 days, and they'll hopefully release the queen. And by then they should have accepted her, and she'll be the new queen in this new queenless hive. Okay, you should be able to see the queen here at some point. She is marked with a red dot on her thorax. We're trying to get her into the sun there. You should be able to see her now. Okay, we're going to go ahead and open up this hive. So this hive has been queenless for the last about 50 hours. Now the first thing that we're going to want to do, since they've had this much time to realize that they don't have a queen, a good part of that is because they probably are not picking up her scent anymore, her pheromone. Probably the first indication that they don't have a queen. So the first thing we want to do is to go through here before we introduce this new queen, is to go through here and see if the bees have started any queen cells, because I think they realize they don't have a queen, and they may have already started to try to raise a new queen themselves, which they could have done because there were still some eggs and some young larvae in here. Lots of good capped brood. More capped brood and larvae. Now here I see some queen cells that they've started. And it looks like there's something in there. So we'll try to point those out to you right now. There's a couple right here. And some more right in here. So it looks like they've, and even some more down here. So what we want to do is go in and destroy these. Yeah, they're going full of royal jelly, it looks like. Looks like there's some larvae in there. And the reason we want to destroy these cells that they're attempting to raise a queen is we want them to accept this new queen, which we just got. Okay, those have been destroyed. We can check another frame here. Because if you leave those queen cells in there, they're liable to not accept the new queen. This is primarily a honey frame. I wouldn't expect to see any queen cells starting on here, and I don't. I'm drawing out some comb here, storing some nectar. And we'll just check this last frame. And there's nothing on here. So I think we found all of the queen cells. So let's just set her here. And since this has got some brood on it, and the other frame here has a lot of cap brood too. And once these bees emerge, the new bees, and I think introducing a queen in between a couple of brood cells like this, cap brood especially, it's going to show that it's going to give this queen, when she first emerges, be surrounded by young bees, nurse bees, and they're more likely to accept a queen, I think. So we've got this here, and we're going to push this down, and again we've got the hole on this end opened up. We took the cork out. The cork is still in place on the other end. You want to leave that in place. Open this up, and the bees will, mostly the bees in the hive, they're going to start chewing their way through to release the queen. So we're going to set this down in here. We're going to leave the screen side up, and we're going to push this together. Alright, so they'll have access to her to hopefully accept her and feed her, and they will probably in the next 3 to 4 days get her released into the colony, at which time they should have accepted her, and she'll be the new queen of the hive here. Let me zoom in here. Okay, so the bees are picking up her scent. They're going more and more up to the queen cage where she's at, along with her attendant bees. And it doesn't look like there's any kind of real hostility going on. I think they're coming up, checking her out like normal, picking up her pheromone, and we'll realize before too long that there is a new queen here. That's when they'll release her, and by the time she gets released, they should have accepted her. Bees have access to the queen through the screen, where they can feed her, get used to her, start getting used to her scent. Should be a new scent, because they've been out without a queen for the last 50 hours. And we're just going to close this hive back up and leave it and check it in 4 to 5 days. because by then the queen should have been released and hopefully been accepted, and then we should be able to go through the hive and see the new queen doing her thing, going around as normal. The bees in the hive should be acting normally and taking care of her, feeding her, and hopefully we'll see her going around starting to lay eggs. So again, this queen came from the Bee-Weaver Apiaries, so she's been biologically bred to be varroa mite resistant, and produce bees that will be very productive. Of course, that's going to be another couple of months minimum before we start really seeing any changes. So let's go ahead and put this back together. Okay, things look good. We'll start with the inner cover. Close this hive up. Now we're going to continue to feed them as we have been doing here, so they can build their numbers up. And that's the whole thing with the queen. The previous queen, which is now in an observation hive, just didn't seem to be that prolific, not laying a lot of eggs compared to the hive, this hive here right next door, which is really going crazy. But these bees, the population has been really, really low. So hopefully with this new queen, once she's accepted and gets going, hopefully she'll be a lot more productive. So we'll come back in 4 or 5 days and check on her and make sure the bees have accepted her and she's doing okay. So we'll see you in 4 or 5 days.